Well, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out on this somewhat cold evening. Could I get a roll call?
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mrs. Andriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. Could I get a motion on the reports?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Code of Compliance report for November, Code Enforcement report for November, and the Dog Control Officer report for November, and the ECI for October and November. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion on the supervisors' reports?
I'll move that we approve the supervisor's report for September 2019 in the amount of $7,075,205.67. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And the report for October, the supervisor's report in the amount of $6,307,447.36. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion on the minutes?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the town board meeting minutes of November 6th, 2019. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Somebody like to audit the bills?
I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 22 dated November 22nd, 2019 in the amount of $211,023.09. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I believe we have some budget transfers as well.
We do. We have three of them. First one is in the code enforcement area, moving money from the code enforcement training and the contingency account, or the general contingency account, to the code enforcement contractual account in the amount of $2,500. Next, we have budget transfer with the recycling contractual, moving money from landfill contractual to recycling contractual in the amount of $3,500. And we have a budget transfer to Putnam Lake Park District, the swim team program, moving $217 from the parks personnel services line to the parks contractual line in $217. I'll make a motion that the town board approve budget transfer requests 36, 37, and 38. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Rogan, you're up.
Did you want to move to the front of the?
Yes, I did, actually. Thank you for reminding me, if the board will indulge me. We have with us tonight Vinnie Perrin with the Putnam County Health Department, who would like to address the board on some water quality testing that the state and the DEC have been doing.
Hi, thank you guys for inviting me in today to speak to everyone. As the entire board, or at least a couple gentlemen are aware, the DEC has been doing ongoing testing on the landfills which are located in the town of Patterson, as well as every other landfill pretty much in New York State. It's a tiered program. The basis is they're looking for what's referred to as emerging contaminants. Some people, if you follow it in the news, you've seen what's called PFAS. That's the perfluorinated alkalinical substances. Those are the ones that were found over in the town of Hoosick Falls. That's probably the most well-known location where they were found. It was tied back to Teflon. Also, sites have been found in Newburgh, city of Newburgh, near the airport, as a result of the firefighting foam. They also found that a lot of landfills have this chemical leaching out, in addition to another chemical, 1,3-dioxane, which is another emerging contaminant. Not really showing up anywhere, so not really don't focus too much on that today. But the board has informed me that some of the residents that have received letters, specifically regarding the Cornwall Hill area landfill, has some questions about the results and asked me to come down and talk to them, alleviate some fears, and do some clarification. Before coming down, I spoke to DEC and the state DOH, both of the parties that are responsible for the testing, and got some information from them on how they'd like the things conveyed and the clarity that they'd like to put on it. So if we would indulge the board, I'd like to ask the people in attendance if they have any questions.
Have there been any preliminary results that you can release as far as what they have found or not found in a very generic way?
Yes, I can give some generic answers. None of the results that I've seen in the finalized letters for any resident in the town of Patterson explicitly stated that ongoing sampling would be required. At this time, one of the pitfalls with the PFAS testing is that there's no hard and fast MCL, maximum contaminant level. For anyone not familiar with the water jargon, I apologize. Once that number's set, that really gives you a ballpark on it. Gives you a black line that says good on one side, bad on the other. Those are always built in, as we all know, with several factors of error. Usually at least a factor of 100. The current advisory level that they're talking about a little bit, that they used for this example, was per PFAS and PFOS, 2 types of the chemicals. A combined 10 trillion parts per trillion, PPT, which is significantly smaller than any other MCL that we have currently on the books, except for dioxin. It's the only other thing that's in that same range. Over the past few years, though, with these chemicals, the level of concern has shifted back and forth. This is the lowest I've seen so far, but I've seen it up to 30, 50, and 100 PPT. So that's, I'm not really sure if and when the rule comes down, where that level is going to be. But I could talk to, at this moment, the results that we're seeing did not trigger the concern for ongoing sampling in the town of Patterson, in the 2 landfills that were tested.
In the 2 landfills?
Yes,
Okay.
that I'm, at this point, that I'm aware of.
Okay. Has the preliminary, the basic testing been completed at this point?
The first round for each, the final letters did go out.
Mhm.
I did receive a copy of them. I'm not sure if there's any outliers that were contacted for sampling that never got back to them. That information I don't have. I do have the potential sites that were initially selected, but that was a very wide scatter shot. It included multiple times what they actually did test. And that's the rule for the 2 landfills in Patterson. What do I have? 4 in Carmel, I think 1 in Southeast. All the ones I saw, the initial list, much, much larger. Because what they do is they just draw a circumference around the landfill. And then, if anyone knows, chemicals flow in a direction. They always flow in a direction. So once you put a keyhole on it, you can see the general area that's most likely affected. And that can limit the scope of your testing to those people that are most likely affected by any leaching. Instead of just wasting money and just testing, a random well that's near no source.
Okay. Any board member have any other questions?
Well, yeah. So actually, I live in the area, but I did not receive a letter, so maybe I'm too far out of the,
Did they test?
for the Cornwall Hill.
Did they test?
landfill.
Did they test your well?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're probably outside of the area. That was my assumption. Not knowing specifically where you are makes it a little bit hard, but there was a small set of samples for that location.
So the people in the area that were tested, they received results?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
They received results, but before they even received the results, correct me if I'm wrong, the DEC contacted them via phone call and explained everything and talked through it with them, and that's reflected in the letter. In the letter for everyone that was spoken to, it starts off with, in our conversation, it was explained to you that these were the results, and this is what's going on forward. On the residents that were not able to be contacted, the letter goes into, I have attempted multiple times to reach you via phone, to no avail. Here's the information. And
So if someone was in the area and, I'm not saying that I would want to have my water tested, but if somebody did, because the neighbors talk and they have concern, where can they bring their water to the health department and request that?
No.
So-
The testing wasn't done under one of our programs. It was a joint venture between New York State DOH and New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. The lead agency for the testing aspect is New York State DEC. If you do have concerns, and would like the water tested, my suggestion would be to forward any sampling requests directly to them. The Region 3 office is very good. They might bounce you over to State DOH, or they might bounce you back to me. But they're really the ones that are the spearhead, and the ones that are really focusing all of it.
Okay, and one last question.
Of course.
If there was
I'm here for questions.
something that was, is there anything that would raise a concern where you would want your water tested? Is there a certain odor or a, you know?
For
a
these
taste?
specific chemicals that we're referring to, no. But New York State Department of Health has a very wonderful document. It's, I guess it's been in existence for a while. I've only become aware of it for the past 5 years. It's really a how-to take care of your own well. It explains what different chemicals and what different tests are run, what type of period that you should have them tested on. And that way you know kind of what's in your water, because certain things can change over time. Nothing's static. With rainfall, waters change. I've had wells that go from 15 GPM up to 35 GPM just based on rainfall. Just recently I had another facility after an oil spill cleanup. 4 months later, after it was completely abated, no smell, nothing. Now I have it in the water because we've gotten rain, we were in a drought. Things do shift. Most important thing to always test at least once a year, test for bacteria. If I impart nothing else on anyone else that's listening, annual test for bacteria. Please, it's the benchmark of how to keep yourselves safe and healthy in your water.
And does a filter or a water softener help with any of that? Okay.
Now with bacteria,
Oh, okay.
you can't smell it, you can't see it, you can't taste it, you just get sick.
Okay.
And then different people have different tolerances for it. So someone that's, for instance, a white glove, real office worker that's not near a lot of germs, someone that's not real outdoorsy, might have a lower tolerance for getting ill versus an outdoorsman or a septic contractor, someone that's exposed to more contaminants, they might have a stronger immune system. So just because I've been drinking this water 30 years, I'm not sick.
Yeah.
Someone comes over, you never know.
Yeah.
So if
So maybe
nothing
you can
else.
come once a month and give us a little on something, you know?
Well, I'm always available. If anyone ever has any questions, you can reach me at the health department. I'm in charge of the community water supplies. And a lot of the non-basic questions usually get filtered to me with water. I've been dealing with it for a very long time. And anyone needs to reach me, they can reach me at the health department. I'm the only Vinny there, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board member? I'm going to put you on the hot seat now, and we can
never.
open it up to anybody from the public who wishes to ask any questions.
Anyone from the public?
Not so much a question, but I think it would be helpful if you could provide the town with a map of the locations that were tested and an indication of any that may have had a substance above whatever the norms are.
That is a very good point. And if you talked to me a year ago, I would have been with you 100%. State DOH and State DEC, they have taken certain privacy issues on water testing results very seriously. And certain information they say you can share with certain entities. So, since I'm not the owner of this information, if the town would like to receive a copy of such information, I would suggest please contact DEC or State DOH.
There's also a much easier way. You have letters of everybody who's received the tests. The health department can send them a letter saying, the town of Patterson would like to know the results of those tests would you be willing to share the results, which I'd be more than willing to do. And I know several of my neighbors would also be willing to. So it's fine to play with DEC and all, but once they provided me a copy of that document, I own that document as well. So I think it's just as easy to send 9 letters out rather than sending a letter to some bureaucrat who will then give it to legal, who will give it to somebody else, you know. But I think, especially for future testing that goes down the road, it's nice for the town to be able to look historically as to what other results have been, to see, is there a trend of how the underground water is moving? We know there are people sitting here who have bad water, who didn't have bad water, which means something changed in their wells. So I think it would be helpful for the town to have that type of document. It's just a thought.
Vinny, let me try to take you off the hot seat
I
a
was
little
going to put you
bit.
back on the hot seat anyway, Rich. I was going to be my first
So-
words. Rich, I apologize. I'm putting you on it now.
Yeah, so I have the contact for the 3 individuals who are leading the investigation from the DEC and the Health Department. They contacted me right from the very beginning. I have both their phone numbers and their emails, and we've been having conversations about, you know, what's going on and what testing they're doing. They're testing one of our community water supplies that the town is actually in charge of. What's this?
The highway department's water should be tested too, seeing that no letters were sent to them supposedly.
No letters were sent to them, but I did have a conversation with the secretary for the highway superintendent today. So, you know, I'm sure when this all concludes, I will be sending them emails and requesting whatever information they can release.
I think that would be definitely the best way to handle it. I'm not sure. They'll speak to you about their concerns. I came across this for the first time last winter when I did a large PFOA testing program that was actually done by our staff. 20, 30 houses, something in that area in the town of Carmel. And everyone had a unique, undecipherable identifier on the sample. CS001134 or something like that, which had no bearing on street number, street address, area code, nothing. It was just an alphanumeric string, which they then had a reference document, so which belonged to what, just for an added tier of protection. Doesn't seem like they did that for these samples, but it might be the direction that they headed. They might have stepped back on their concerns.
Anyone else? Well, Vinny, I'd like to thank you for coming out and addressing the board and providing this valuable information to
Oh,
us.
please, it's my pleasure. I love coming out to these things. That's what we're here for. And as always, if anyone ever has any questions, please feel free to contact us at the health department. We're always there to answer questions. That's what we get paid for. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vinny. Appreciate it.
Now, Mr. Rogan, you're up.
I'm up, huh?
You're
Okay.
up.
So first item we have is setting the public hearings for our fire department contracts. We'd like to set public hearing for the Patterson Fire Department contract, which is a contract for 2020, which will be in the amount, proposed amount of $865,160. I'd like to set that public hearing for December 18th at 7 o'clock or as soon as thereafter as may be heard. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And for the Putnam Lake Department contract, which is set, or tentatively set for the amount of $441,600 for the same date and time, December 18th, 7 o'clock. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'd also like to approve the following members to be added to Patterson Fire Department Number 1 Inc. Julian Pettiford, Carol Pacali, and Amanda Jaski. So I'd like to move that we approve those new members. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, first on my agenda, last meeting, we talked about background checks. We were having some problems with the company. They had substantially increased our rates. We were looking at other companies and what parameters we may want to have individuals who are seeking employment with the town of Patterson checked with. I want to report back to the board that the aide to the town board, Susan Brown, got on the phone with NCSI and negotiated a new agreement with them so that we are keeping the same price. So, good job, Mrs. Brown.
Yep, very good. So do we have to approve?
We do not. And the water testing we just did, so we don't have to discuss that any further. Mary, you're up.
Okay, so we only have one request for the recreation center from Mr. Machibaro. He'd like to hire James Brown as a recreation assistant. James will be paid $9.25 per hour. He has experience working with children in a sports setting, and he's available to work in our youth sports programs. I'd like to make a motion to approve James Brown as a recreation assistant at $9.25 per hour, pending all paperwork is completed. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion on town boards and our committees. We were lucky enough to have all of our current
Chair.
chairs and board members have asked to be reappointed in the new year, but we do have a couple vacant seats, so we wanted to have a discussion on how we're going to fill these seats. We're going to advertise. We have an open vacancy on the Veterans Park Advisory Board. We also have a Putnam Lake Park Advisory Board has an opening, as well as the Board of Assessment Review. So if anyone out there that likes to come to these meetings wants to help us out and join one of our boards, we'd be happy to have you. Or we can put it in the paper and do some interviews.
Want to see if we can get it up on Comcast?
Yeah, we can do that.
That's a good idea.
Mhm. So do we need a motion for that, or we're good?
You want a motion to advertise?
Okay.
Now you got to make a motion.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to advertise for the the vacant seats on Board Assessment Review, Veterans Park Advisory Board, and the Putnam Lake Advisory Board on Comcast. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would you also like to do that in the paper?
I'm not gonna make another motion, but sure.
Okay, Peter.
Put it
All right,
on.
first I have two requests, EMS requests. The first one is a memo from Denise Montana, our EMS supervisor, seeking approval to have 4 new tires installed on the Ford Transit ambulance. She has 2 quotes here, and the cheaper quote is for Stan's Auto Body, and she's requesting that we go with Stan's Auto Body. So I'd like to make a motion to approve $1,000 for 4 tires for the ambulance. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second request I have from Ms. Montana, seeking approval for Michael Larm and Christina Hughes to receive their 30 cents per hour raise that they have not received for 2019. So Mr. Alarm's hourly rate will change from $15 to $15.30 per hour, retroactively effective 10/5/19. And Ms. Hughes' hourly rate will change from $15.50 to 15. I don't know why it says
81.
81 per as the budget, effective 12/14/19. So I'd like to make a motion to approve both those salary changes. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I have a memo from our highway superintendent, Russell Goff, regarding the cancellation of driveway permit for 4051 Old Route 22. The homeowners took out a driveway permit in July for the residents. They have now chosen not to proceed with installing the new driveway in addition to their home, and they are selling the home instead. So he's requesting that we return the cash bond for $480 that they posted on July 30th. So So they can make a motion to return the cash bond for $480.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is all I have.
Okay.
Charles?
Next, we have the annual agreement that we've been having with AI Computer Services that provides the support, IT services for Town Hall and other buildings. And I'll make a motion that the town board approve the agreement, subject to review by council. You reviewed this, right? So it's by council and you, or just you? Just council?
However you want to do it. I have all the faith in the world in Don.
I don't want to upset it. So approval subject to review by council and the supervisor. So
This is
moved.
Slate.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can you just, Rich, can you just give like a quick, so what is this covered? What is,
So this covers the A1 computer from, actually, one of the things we do have to add in here is they're providing backup, off-site backup. So it's going to cover that, but it's also going to give us rates for them providing IT services on the server in the coming year. And as the board is aware, we budgeted this year because we have to replace one of our servers and several of the computers because they are the older machines and the software is not going to be supported anymore. So we do have rates in here. It's actually coming, this is coming out of something that the state controller has flagged that we've been kind of doing this on an ad hoc basis with A1. We'll call them when we need them. But the controller felt that we should have something with a little more permanence to it and confidentiality in it. So we've added all that in there.
Thank you.
It's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, we have a memo from the supervisor to the town board. The fire department has applied for a permit from the building department for Christmas tree sales. They're requesting the town to waive the refundable $150 restoration fee, as all sales will be on a fire department property and under the pavilion. So, yeah, so I'll make a motion that the town board approve the request to waive the refundable $150 restoration fee. Is doing it in the pavilion, and you know, they're gonna give us $150 and we're gonna give them $150. So I move that we approve the waiving. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any town board member have any other business they wish to bring up at this time?
Of course we do. We have some very important announcements for this week, right? Friday night. Oh. Okay, I knew about the Patterson Fire Department. I guess I knew about all of them. Patterson Fire Department invites you to the Christmas tree lighting and holiday celebration this Friday, December 6th, starting at 7 p.m. And we have on Saturday the 7th at the Rec Center, we have Breakfast with Santa from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And the same day on Saturday, December 7th, we have the Putt Lake Fire Department Holiday Parade and Tree Lighting from 7 to 10 p.m. All really fantastic events in our community, well worth attending. So please
Pancake
come out.
breakfast, you have to make reservations.
That's true, that one books up. So, and I hear we have some very prominent guests cooking pancakes there on Saturday morning, don't we, Rich?
Well, I'll be there, I don't know about.
Just you, that's what I meant.
How prominent that
Yes.
is. Huh?
Yes. All right.
Okay, well said. Thank you. Okay, we are down to public recognition. Does any member of the public wish to be recognized and address the board?
No. I'd rather ruin their night, so.
I'm Karen Vieira Powers from the Patterson Library. I'd like to tell you about a couple of programs that we have for adults and then some for children and one for only teenagers. This Saturday, December 7th at 1 p.m., we're having our holiday concert, our annual holiday concert. And the people who will be singing are called the Mad Hatters, and they're a chorus group, kind of an a cappella type of singing Christmas songs. That's this Saturday at 1 p.m. Okay. We also have 2 films for adults this month. One is our regular Wednesday, once a month film, which is called Yesterday, and it's about a time when everybody forgets the Beatles, and one young man begins to, as a musician, he begins to plagiarize their music, and I'm not sure how that ends, but anyway.
Don't give it away.
It's a great movie.
Is it a great movie? You saw
Yeah,
it?
very good.
Okay.
My
Right.
12-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old daughter enjoyed it as well.
The second movie is going to be on Tuesday, December 17th at 1 p.m., and it's called The Man Who Invented Christmas. And this is really it follows the journey of Charles Dickens and his creation of the story of Christmas Carol, and how he comes to invent the characters of Ebenezer Scrooge and Tiny Tim and so on. Right, so those are 2 films. We have a number of programs for children during this Christmas season, and I'd like to just talk about them briefly. We have holiday cookie decorating, and that's for children of all ages on Thursday, December 19th. There are 2 sessions, one at 4:15 and one at 5 p.m. They'll be decorating festive cookies, and it promises to be a fun craft project, and hot cocoa will be served as well. All right. There's another program for children 5 and up on Tuesday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, from 11 a.m. to 12:30. And that is kind of a play on New Year's Eve, but it's called Noon Year's Eve because obviously we're not going to have them there at midnight. And we'll be celebrating the noon year at Patterson Library, so get dressed up and join us for some dancing, tasty treats, games, and more. 2020, here we come. A program for teenagers. We have a lot of teenagers who come to the library on a regular basis, and they have formed a group. And they come and they sponsor programs, and they also participate in programs. And that's something that a lot of libraries have not been able to accomplish, because teenagers are so unpredictable and kind of going off on their own a lot of the time. The name of this program is Murder Mystery Night, the Ugly Sweater Edition, and it's for the teenagers ages 13 and up. And it says, come celebrate your holiday with us and a side of murder. Wear your ugliest Christmas sweater while we find the killer that wants to ruin our Christmas party. Okay, that's about it. And of course, please remember our museum passes and other things like computer help every other week in the evening and every other week in the afternoon. Drop-in computer help is always an important part of our program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Did she mention Ebenezer Scrooge?
A character from the Christmas Carol, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just really only have one thing. This past Monday evening, Comcast was proud to show your November 6th meeting. So, which only indication how well they listened to your letters and your calls for being a little more prompt.
What you're
I
saying
ju-
is that everything that the previous person said is only for the group here,
I know.
right?
And I know you really don't want to go live, I understand that. Would you consider maybe, they almost do like a podcast where, I forget the terminology that they use, where you could actually stream it live to people's computers live the evening of the actual show. And you could then do the others. And you got to remember, Comcast, I don't know what percentage of homeowners use Comcast, but you also have some people who use DirecTV, so they're not getting it anyway. So live streaming, I think, is an option I'd like you to look into. It might better serve the folks in the community. It'll also require doing some advertising too. Let the people know that instead of turning their TV on at Wednesday night, they put their computer on and they'll actually go and they can actually watch the meeting live, and you could eventually even do your planning board, zoning board if you wanted. But I'd like you to consider that, because as you can see, Comcast really doesn't care about us.
So I haven't checked in a couple of months, but I'm gonna ask Paul, who's standing in the back of the room. We're still putting them up on the website, correct?
Next day.
Yeah, next day. So next day, you can go up on the town's website and download the
Okay.
town board meeting.
I still don't see why don't you live stream it.
Well, we can certainly
Is-
investigate.
Okay.
It's also a cost to live stream.
Oh, I'm sure there is. Yeah.
Where it's free the next day. We could advertise a little bit more
They
than.
could always come
Anyone else
and see it live.
going once? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, we forgot executive session. Just kidding.